the home of Martin Vanderhoff.
Just around the corner from Columbia University.
But don't go looking for it.
The room we see is what is customarily described as a living room.
But in this house, the term is something of an understatement.
The everyman for himself room, more like it.
For here, meals are eaten,
plays are written,
Snakes collected.
ballet steps practiced.
Pianos played, printing presses operated.
If there were room enough, there would probably be ice skating.
In short, the Brood goes about the business of living in the fullest sense of the word.
We're individualists.
This is a home where you do as you like, no questions asked.
My, that kitchen's hot. What, Essie? I say that kitchen's awful hot. The new candy I'm making will never cool.
Do you have to make candy today, Essie? It's such a hot day.
I got all those new orders. Well, Ed went out and got a bunch of new orders.
My, if it carries on, you'll have to open up yourself a little storefront.
That's what Ed was saying last night. But no, I want to be a dancer.
The only problem with dancing is it takes so long. You've been practicing such a long time.
Only 8 years. After all, Mother, you started writing plays 8 years ago.
Yes, but you shouldn't count my first 2 years because I was learning to type.
I think the candy's hardening up now, Miss Essie.
Thanks, Reba. I'll bring some in. Mother, I want you to try it.
Finish the second act, Mrs. Sycamore.
Huh? What?
I said, did you finish the second act, Mrs. Sycamore?
Oh no, Reba. I've just got Cynthia entering the monastery.
She was at the Kit Kat Club, wasn't she?
Well, she gets tired of the Kit Kat Club and there's a monastery, so she goes there.
Did they let her in?
Oh yes, I made a visitor stay, so anyone can come.
Oh.
Well, she arrives at the monastery and just stays there.
Did she stay all night?
Oh yes. She stays 6 years.
6 years? My, I bet she busts that monastery wide open.
6 years later.
DePena! Mr. DePena, will you bring up one of those new skyrockets? I want to sell them to Mrs. Sycamore. Look, a penny. What do you think of these new firecrackers we made? We could sell them 10 strings for a cent. Nice, huh?
Yes. Paul, dear, were you ever in a monastery?
No, I wasn't. Wait till you see the new rockets. Blue stars and gold stars, and then a bomb, and then a balloon. DePena thought of the balloon.
So nice. Did you do all that today?
Sure, we made a... Oh, here we are. Look, Penny, it cost us 18 cents to make, and we can sell them for 50. How many do you think we can make before the 4th of July, Mr. DePena?
Well, we got 2 weeks yet. What day are we taking the stuff up to Mount Vernon?
About a week. You know, we're gonna need a larger booth this year. We got a lot of stuff made up. Come on, we're not through yet.
Look, Mr. Sycamore, I'm afraid the powder chamber is just a little bit too close to the balloon.
Well, we got the stars and the bombs in between.
That don't give the balloon time enough. The balloon needs plenty of time.
Let's go down to the cellar and try it.
All right.
Mr. DePena, if a girl you loved entered a monastery, what would you do?
Well, I don't know, Mrs. Sycamore. It's been so long.
Is Alice going to be home to dinner tonight, Mrs. Sycamore?
What? Oh, I don't know, Reba. Maybe?
Well, I'll set a place for her. She's only been home to dinner one night this week.
Yes, I know.
Miss Essie's making some mighty fine candy today. She's doing something new with coconuts.
That's nice.
Let's see. 6 and Mr. DePena, and if Mr. Kolinkov comes, that makes 8, don't it? Yeah, I better set it for 8.
Reba, I'm gonna put this play away for a while. I'm going back to the war play.
Oh, I always liked that one, the war play. Boom, boom.
They'll be better when they're harder, Mother. What do you think?
Oh, they look lovely. Oh. What do you call them?
I think I'll call them love dreams.
Yes, that's lovely. Oh. I'm going back to the war play, Essie. What do you think?
Oh, you are, Mother?
Yes, I got myself into a monastery and I can't get out.
Oh, don't worry, Mother. You'll figure it out. remember when you escaped that brothel? Did Reba feed the snakes?
I don't know. Oh, Reba, did you feed the snakes?
No, Donald's coming and he always brings flies with him.
Well, try and feed them before Grandpa gets home. You know how fussy he is about them.
Yes,
Take Groucho to the kitchen with you. Goodbye. I believe I'll have a love dream.
Mr. Dependent was right about the balloon. It was too close to the powder.
Do you want a love dream, Father?
Thanks.
I'm going back to the war play, Paul.
Oh, that's nice. We're putting some red stars after the bombs and then the balloons. That ought to do it. I gotta go wash.
You know, Mr. Kollenkoff says that I am one of his most promising pupils.
Essie. Oh, hey, Essie.
You'd think with 40 monks and one girl, something would happen.
I like that, Ed. Did you write it?
No, Beethoven.
Got a lot of you in it. I made those new candies this afternoon, Ed. You can take them around tonight.
All right. Big finish. This is me. How's that?
That was fine. Remember it when Kollenkoff comes.
Ed, dear, why don't you and Essie have a baby? I was thinking about it just the other day.
I don't know. We could have one if you wanted us to. What about it, Essie? Do you want to have a baby?
Oh, I don't care if Grandpa's willing.
Let's ask her.
Labor play, religious play, sex play. It's gotta be here someplace.
I was right about the balloons. It's too close to the powder chamber.
Anything you want printed, Mr. DePinna? How about some more calling cards?
No thanks. I've still got the first 1,000.
Well, call on somebody, will ya?
All right.
What have we got for dinner, Reba? I'm ready to print the menu.
let's see. Cornflakes, watermelon, some of Mrs. Essie's candy, and some kind of meat. I forget.
I think I'll use bold-faced Cheltenham. You know, if I'm gonna take those new candies around, I better print some descriptive matter after dinner.
Do you think anyone reads those things, Ed, that you put in the candy boxes? Oh, here's the war play.
Donald.
The boyfriend. Hey, Reba.
Evening, everybody.
Hi, Donald. How've you been?
I'm pretty good, Mr. Ed. How have you been, Mrs. Sycamore?
Very well, thank you. Donald,
Yes'm?
were you ever in a monastery?
No, I don't go no place much. I'm relieved.
Look at Reba's smile. Donald and Reba.
Oh, here are the flies, Reba. I caught a big mess of them today.
You sure did.
I see you've been working, Mrs. Sycamore.
Yes, indeed, Donald.
How's Grandpa?
Just fine. He's over at Columbia this afternoon. The commencement exercises.
My. The years certainly do be rolling around.
M-E-A-T. What's he go there for all the time, Penny?
I don't know. It's just so handy around the corner.
Oh, Donald. Mr. DePinna and I are running the fireworks up to Mount Vernon next week. Do you think you could give us a hand?
Yes, sir. But I can't take no money for it this year. If the government finds out I'm working, they'll get sore.
Oh. Ed, I got this wonderful idea. I was reading Trotsky. It's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, I left it there.
Who is it?
You know, Trotsky. The Russian Revolution.
Oh,
Say!
Anyhow, it struck me as a great fireworks idea. You know, the last days of Pompeii.
Oh, yes! Palisades Park! Ah!
gonna do the revolution. A full hour display.
Oh, the red fire's the flag, huh?
Hello, Grandpa.
Well, sir, you should have been there. That's all I can say. You should have been there.
Was it a nice commencement, Grandpa?
Oh, wonderful. They get better every year. You don't know how lucky you are. You're snakes.
Big class this year, Grandpa? How many were there?
Must have been 2 acres. Everybody graduated. Yes, sir. And much funnier speeches this year.
You want to hear a good speech? Go up and listen to Father Divine.
I'll wait. They'll have them over at Columbia.
Donald, will you tell Reba that Grandpa's home and we won't wait for Miss Alice?
Yes'm.
We made a new skyrocket today, Grandpa. Wait till you see it.
Reba, Grandpa's home. We can have dinner.
I wonder why they don't have fireworks at commencement.
They don't make enough noise. You take a good commencement orator, and he'll drown out the whole crowd with fireworks. And say just as much, too.
Don't the graduates ever say anything?
No, they just stand there with their cap and nightgown. They get their diplomas, and then, long about 40 years from now, they'll just say, Where am I?
Hello, Grandpa. Have a nice day.
Oh, wonderful.
Father?
No thanks.
Mother?
No thanks, dear.
I'll take a tomato.
Oh, yes, Grandpa.
You know, I could have used these this afternoon. Play something, Ed.
All right.
There was a letter that came for you, Grandpa.
A letter for me? I don't know anybody.
It was for you, though. It had your name on it.
That's funny. Where is it?
I don't know. Where's Grandpa's letter, Mother?
What, dear?
Where's the letter that came for Grandpa?
I don't know. I remember seeing the cat on it.
Well, who was it from? Did you notice?
Yes, it was on the outside.
Well, who was it?
The United States government.
Really? Wonder what they wanted.
There was one before that, too. From the same people. There was actually a couple of them.
Well, if any more come, I wish you'd give them to me.
Yes, Grandpa.
I think I'll go to Westchester tomorrow and do a little snake hunting.
God is the state, and the state is God.
What's that?
God is the state, and the state is God.
Who says that?
Trotsky.
Oh, all right. Thought you said it.
Hey, that's nice for printing, you know. Good and sweet.
And so the beautiful princess came into the palace and greeted her mother, her father, and her grandfather.
Hello, darling.
Hi, Grandpa. And what do you think? They turned into the Sycamore family. Surprised?
Ooh, Alice, I like it.
You do?
Is it new?
Looks nice and summery.
Where'd you get it?
Oh, I took a walk during lunch hour.
You've been taking a lot of walks lately. That's the second new dress this week.
I just like to brighten up the office every once in a while. I'm known as the K. Francis of Kirby & Co. What's new around here in the ways of plays, snakes, ballet dancing, fireworks? Oh, Father, I bet you've been down in that cellar all day.
Huh?
I'm going back to the war play, Alice.
Really, Mother?
Hey, Ed, why don't you play that Beethoven thing you wrote?
You know, you can mail a letter all the way from Nicaragua now for 2 pesos.
Really?
Kenneth, my virginity is a priceless thing to me.
Listen, people, listen. I'm not home to dinner. A young gentleman is calling for me.
Oh, really? Who is it?
Well, isn't that nice?
I did everything possible to keep him from coming here, but he's calling for me.
Why don't you both stay to dinner?
No, I want him to take you in easy doses. I've tried to prepare him a little, but don't make it any worse than you can help. Don't read him any plays, Mother. And don't let a snake bite him, Grandpa, because I like him. And I wouldn't dance for him, Essie, because we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet tonight.
Can't do anything. Who is he? President of the United States?
No, he's Vice President of Kirby & Co. Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.
Well,
The boss's son?
The boss's son, just like in the movies.
That explains the new dresses.
And not being home to dinner for 3 weeks.
Why, Sherlock Holmes.
are you going to marry him?
Oh, of course, tonight. Meanwhile, I have to go up and put on my wedding dress.
Is he good looking?
Yes, in a word. Oh dear, what time is it?
Mr. DePinna might know.
It was 5 o'clock a couple of hours ago.
Oh, I ought to know better than to ask you people. Will you let me know the minute he comes? Please.
Of course, Alice.
Yes, I know, but I mean the minute he comes.
Why, of course.
Well, do be sure.
Well, what do you think of that?
She seems to like him, if you ask me.
I should say so. She's got it bad.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if she married him? We could have the wedding right in this room.
Now wait a minute, Penny. This is the first time he's even called for the girl.
You only called for me once.
Young people are different nowadays.
Oh, I don't know. Look at me and Ed. He came to dinner once, and he just stayed.
Anyhow, I think it's wonderful, don't you, Grandpa?
She certainly seems happy about it.
Oh, he must be crazy about her. Maybe he's the one taking her out every night. Oh, that must be him. Oh, never mind, Reba. I'll get it.
All right. Let's have a look at him.
Welcome to our little home.
How do you do?
I'm Alice's mother. Oh, here we are. That's Alice's father. Oh, and there's Grandpa. Oh, and Alice's sister, Essie, and her husband, Ed Carmichael. Oh, give me your hat and do make yourself right at home.
I'm afraid you must be making a mistake.
How's that?
My card.
C. Henderson? Internal Revenue Department?
That's right.
What can we do for you?
Does a Mr. Martin Vanderhoff live here?
Yes, ma'am. That's me.
Well, Mr. Vanderhoff, the government wants to talk to you about a little matter of income tax.
Look, Mr. Sycamore. Oh, excuse me.
What is it?
This thing won't go off.
No, not here. Grandpa's busy.
Oh,
Pardon us.
Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, we have written you several letters about this and have not had any reply.
Oh, that's what those letters were.
told you it was from the government.
According to our records, Mr. Vanderhoff, you have never paid an income tax.
That's right.
Why not?
I don't believe in it.
Well, you own property, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you receive a yearly income from it
I do.
of between $3,000 and $4,000?
About that.
You've been receiving it for years.
1901, if you want the exact date.
Well, the government is only concerned with 1914 on. That's when the income tax started.
Well,
Well, it seems, Mr. Vanderhoff, that you owe the government 24 years back income tax.
Wait a minute. You can't go back that far. That was outlawed.
What's your name?
What difference does that make?
Ever filed an income tax return?
No, ma'am.
What was your income last year?
$28.50. Isn't that right, Essie?
Yes, ma'am.
If you please. Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, there's quite a penalty for not filing an income tax return.
Miss Henderson, let me ask you something.
Well,
Suppose I pay you the money. Mind you, I'm not saying I'm going to. But for the sake of argument, what's the government going to do with it?
How do you mean?
What do I get for my money? If I go into Macy's and buy something, there it is. I see it. What's the government give me?
Why, the government gives you everything. It protects you.
From what?
Well, invasion. Foreigners who might come over here and try to take everything you've got.
Oh, I don't think they're going to do that.
If you didn't pay an income tax, they would. How do you think the government keeps up with the Army and the Navy? All those battleships?
We haven't used battleships since the Spanish-American War. And what did we get out of that? Cuba. And we gave that back. I wouldn't mind paying if it were something more sensible.
Sensible? Well, what about Congress and the Supreme Court and the President? We've got to pay them, don't we?
Not with my money. No, ma'am.
Now, wait a minute. I'm not here to argue with you. All I know is that you've never paid an income tax and you've got to.
They've got to show me.
We don't have to show you. I just told you. All those buildings down in Washington and interstate commerce and the Constitution.
The Constitution was paid for years ago. And interstate commerce? What even is interstate commerce anyhow?
There are 48 states, see? And if there weren't interstate commerce, nothing could go from one state to another, see?
Why not? They got fences?
No, they haven't got fences. They've got laws. My God, I've never came across anything like this before.
Well, I might pay $75, but that's all it's worth.
You'll pay every cent, like everybody else.
Listen, Essie, listen to this for a minute.
And let me tell you something else. You'll go to jail if you don't pay. Do you hear that? That's the law. And if you think you're better than the law, you've got another thing coming. You're no better than anybody else, and the sooner you get that through your head, the better. You'll hear from the United States government. That's all I can say.
How's that, Essie?
It was fine, Ed.
How'd that sound to you folks?
I like it.
My goodness, she was mad, wasn't she?
Well, it's not her fault. It's just the whole thing is so silly.
Oh, she forgot her hat.
What size is that hat?
7 1/8.
Just right for me.
That must be Mr. Kirby.
You better make sure this time.
Yes, I will.
I hope he's good looking.
How do you do?
Good evening.
Are you Mr. Anthony James Kirby Jr.?
Yes.
Come right in! Oh, come right in! Now, I'm Alice's mother, and this is her father, Paul. Oh, and that's Grandpa. Oh, and Alice's sister, Essie, and Essie's husband. Now, that's all of us, Mr. Kirby. Make yourself right at home.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby? Yes, it is, Alice. And he's lovely. I'll be right down. Oh, do sit down, Mr. Kirby.
I hope I'm not keeping you from dinner.
No. Have a tomato.
No, thank you.
How about a piece of candy?
No, thanks.
Oh, I forgot to introduce Mr. DePinna. This is Mr. DePinna, Mr. Kirby.
Didn't I read about your father in the newspaper? Didn't he get indicted or something?
No, hardly that. He just testified before the Securities Commission.
Oh.
Yes, of course. I'm sure there's nothing crooked about it, Mr. DePinna. In fact, Alice is always telling us about what a lovely man your father is.
Well, I know Father wouldn't get along without Alice. She knows more about the business than any of us.
You're awful young, Mr. Kirby, to be working as a vice president at such a big place.
Well, you know what that means, Vice President. All I have is a desk with my name on it.
Is that all? Don't you get any salary?
Well, a little. More than I'm worth, I'm afraid.
Oh, you're just being modest.
Sounds kind of dull to me, Wall Street. Do you like it?
Well, the hours are short, and I haven't been there very long.
Just out of college, huh?
Well, I knocked around for a while first. Just sort of had fun.
What did you do? Travel?
For a while. Then I went to Cambridge for a year.
England.
That's right.
Say, what's an English commencement like? Did you see any?
Oh, very impressive.
They are, huh?
Anyhow, now the fun's over and I'm facing the world.
Well, you've certainly got a good start, Mr. Kirby. Vice President and a rich father.
Well, that's hardly my fault.
Well, now I'm sure you're ready to settle down and get married.
Come now, Penny. I'm sure Mr. Kirby knows his own mind.
Oh, I wasn't making up his mind. Now was I, Mr. Kirby?
That's quite all right, Mrs. Sycamore.
You see?
You mustn't rush him, Mother.
Well, all I meant is he's bound to get married, and suppose the wrong girl gets him.
Well, here I am, a vision in blue. Well, apparently you've got time to get acquainted.
Oh, yes, indeed. We were just having a wonderful conversation about love and marriage.
Oh dear.
Damn those flies in the kitchen. Oh, Miss Alice, you did beautiful.
That must be Mr. Kollenkoff.
I think we'd better go, Tony.
All right.
Grandpa, do you take cream on your cornflakes? I forget.
Half and half, Donald.
Ah, Robinska.
Yes, that's Kollenkoff.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Grandpa, what do you think? I got a letter from Russia. The second 5-year plan is a failure.
I practiced today, Mr. Kollenkoff.
My Pavlova.
Well, if you'll excuse us, Mr. Kollenkoff.
Ah, my little Alice. I have never seen you look so magnificent.
Thank you, Mr. Kollenkoff. Tony, this is Mr. Kollenkoff, as his dance teacher.
How do you do?
Ah, how do you do?
Will you excuse us, Mr. Kollenkoff? We're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet.
The Monte Carlo Ballet. Ugh, stinks.
Yes. Well, goodbye, everybody.
Oh,
Goodbye.
Goodbye. It was so nice to have met you all.
Goodbye.
Ugh, the Monte Carlo Ballet.
Well, isn't Mr. Kirby lovely? Oh, come on, everybody. Dinner's ready.
Next, diagram. Then you had ballet.
I thought he was a nice fellow. Didn't you?
Mm-hmm. And so good looking.
He had such nice manners. Did you notice his manners, Paul?
I certainly did. You were getting pretty personal with him.
Oh, now, Paul. Anywho, he was such a nice young man.
He looks like a cousin of mine.
I think if they got married here, I'd put the altar right where the snakes are. You wouldn't mind, would you, Grandpa?
not if the snakes don't.
Oh no, they'll want to have it in a church. His family and everything.
I like a church wedding.
Oh, yes, of course they would.
Of course.
Quiet, everybody. Quiet. Well, sir, we've been getting along pretty good for quite a while now. And we're certainly much obliged. Remember, all we ask is to just go along and be happy in our own sort of way. Of course, we want to keep our health, but as far as anything else is concerned, we'll just leave it to you. Thank you. So, the second 5-year plan is a failure, eh, Kollenkoff?
Catastrophic! And just you wait till they try the third 5-year plan.
Of course his parents will want to come. Oh, imagine Alice marrying a Kirby.
Look at that. Isn't it exciting?
And I'll play the wedding march on the piano.
What have we got for dinner? I'm hungry.
I could watch them dance every night of the week. I think they're marvelous.
They are, aren't they? Of course, walking inside any theater gives me a thrill.
Oh, Tony, it's been so lovely. I hate to have it over.
Is it over? Do I have to go right away?
Not if you don't want to.
I don't.
Do you want a cold drink?
Wonderful.
I'll see what's in the icebox. Want to come along?
I'd follow you to the ends of the earth.
Oh, just the kitchen is enough.
Why, I like it. You've done it quite simply, haven't you?
Yes, we couldn't decide whether to do it Empire or Neo-Grecian.
So you settled for frigid air.
Yes, it's so easy to live with. My, lucky you're not hungry, Mr. K. An icebox full of cornflakes. That gives you a rough idea of the sycamores.
Now, if you'll please be seated, I'd like to offer a toast.
We are seated.
Miss Sycamore, to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. To you.
You know something?
What?
I wouldn't trade a minute of this evening for all the rice in China.
Really?
Cross my heart. Terrific. I suppose I ought to go.
Is it very late?
Very. I don't want to go.
I don't want you to.
All right, I won't. When do you get your vacation?
Last 2 weeks of August.
I might take mine then, too.
Really?
What are you going to do?
I don't know. I hadn't thought much about it.
Going away, do you think?
I might not. I like the city in the summertime.
I do, too.
But you always go up to Maine, don't you?
That's right. Oh, but I'm sure I would love the city in the summertime if... Oh, you know what I mean, Alice. I'd love it if you were here.
Well, it'd be great if you were here, Tony.
You know what you're saying, don't you?
What?
That you'd rather spend the summer with me than anybody else.
Was I?
Well, if it's true about the summer, then how would you feel about the winter?
Well, yes, I'd like that too.
You know, there's also spring and autumn. If you could see your way clear about those, Miss Sycamore?
I might.
Well, that's the whole year. We haven't forgotten anything, have we?
No.
Well then.
Alice, is that you? What time is it? Oh, Mr. Kirby, I didn't realize that. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt anything.
No, not at all, Miss Sycamore.
No, Mother.
I just came down for a manuscript, and then you can go right ahead. Oh, here it is. Sex takes a holiday.
Good night, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, I think you can call me Penny. Don't you, Alice? At least I hope so.
What was that?
It's all right, Tony. That's just Father.
Oh, at this time of night?
Any time of night. Any time of day.
You know, you're more beautiful, more lovely, more adorable than anyone else in the whole world.
Don't, Tony.
What? My dear, just because your mother... All mothers are like that, Alice. And Penny's a darling. You see? I'm even calling her Penny.
I don't mean that, Tony. Look, there's something I've been meaning to tell you, but I didn't have the courage. I let myself be swept away because I loved you so.
Darling.
All right, have it your way. She can't dance. So that's why they pay her all that money. It's because she can't dance.
Well, I don't call that dancing what she does. Oh, hello. How was the ballet?
It was fine, Essie.
Wonderful.
Hello there.
Hello.
Look, what do you people think? Me and Ed just saw Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Do you think she can dance, Mr. Kirby?
Why, yes, I always thought so.
What does she do anyhow? All right, look. You're Fred Astaire and I'm Ginger Rogers.
Essie, please.
Oh, I only want to use him for a second. Okay, look, Mr. Kirby.
You're just as good as Ginger Rogers. We all agree.
See, Ed?
Come on, Essie. We're butting in.
But they've been together all evening. Good night, Mr. Kirby. Good night, Alice.
Good night, Mrs. Carmichael.
Good night. Oh, Essie, did you ask Grandpa about us having a baby?
Oh, yeah. He said go right ahead.
You see, Tony, that's what it would be like.
Oh, I didn't mind that. Anyhow, we're not going to live with your family. It's just you and I.
No, it isn't. I love them, Tony. I love them deeply. But some people could just break away. I couldn't. I know they do rather strange things, but they're gay and they're fun, and I don't know, there's kind of a nobility about them.
Alice, you talk as though only you could understand them, but that's not true. Why, every family's got its own curious little traits. My father raises orchids at $10,000 a bulb. Is that sensible? My mother believes in spiritualism. That's just as bad as your mother writing plays, isn't it?
It goes deeper, Tony. Your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable, and your father raises orchids because he can afford to. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago a typewriter was delivered here by mistake.
Darling, what of it?
And look at Grandpa. 35 years ago, he just quit business. He started up to his office and took the elevator, came right back down again. He just stopped. He could have been a rich man. He said it took too much time. For 35 years, he's collected snakes, gone to circuses and commencements. It never occurs to any of them.
Hello there, children.
Good evening, Mr. Vanderhoff.
Hello,
How's
Grandpa.
the weather? Seems like a nice summer evening.
Yes, it's lovely, Grandpa.
Well, I must be going. Good night, Mr. Kirby. I've got a date with a policeman on the corner.
Policeman?
We have a standing date, 2 o'clock every night. Known him since he was a little boy. He's really a doctor, but one day he came up to me and said he really wanted to be a policeman. So I told him, if you want to be a policeman, go be one. And he did. How do you like my new hat?
Very nice, Mr. Vanderhoff.
Yes, I like it. The government gave it to me.
Oh, I didn't know any of you folks were in here.
It's all right, Donald.
Reba was fancying some candy. Oh, there it is. Y'all don't want any, do you?
No, Donald.
Thanks. Did y'all have a nice evening?
Yes, Donald.
Nice dinner?
Yes, Donald.
Was the ballet nice?
Yes, Donald. Now do you see what I mean? Could you explain Donald to your father? Could you explain Grandpa? You couldn't. Tony, I love you, but I love them too, and it's no use, Tony. It's no use.
There's one thing you said to me that matters. That makes any sense at all. You love me.
Yes, but I know so well.
But darling, don't you think other people have had the same problem? Everyone has a family.
But not like mine.
That doesn't stop people who love each other. Darling, won't you just trust me and go on loving me and forget everything else?
How can I?
Because nothing can keep us apart. You know that. You must know it. They want you to be happy, don't they? They must.
Yes, of course. But they can't change, Tony. I wouldn't want them to change.
They won't have to change. They're charming, lovable people, just as they are. Everything will work out. You're worrying about something that may never come up.
Oh, Tony, am I?
All that matters is that we love each other. That's so, isn't it?
Yes.
Well then.
Oh, Tony. Mwah.
Now, I'd like to see a little gaiety around here. Young gentlemen coming, getting engaged and everything.
What do I say?
Well, first you can thank the young gentleman for getting engaged to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby, for getting engaged to me.
And then you tell the young gentleman what it was about him that first took your heart.
The back of your head.
Huh?
It wasn't your charm and it wasn't your money. It was the back of your head.
What happened when I turned around?
Oh, well, I got used to it after a while.
We're pretty lucky, aren't we?
I know that I am. I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
I'm not exactly unlucky myself. I guess I oughta. Good night, darling. Until tomorrow. Isn't it wonderful we work in the same office? Otherwise, I'd be hanging around here all day.
Won't it be funny seeing each other tomorrow with going on as though nothing had happened?
Thank God I'm vice president. I can dictate to you all day. Miss Sycamore, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Oh, Tony, you're such a fool.
Why don't you meet me in the drugstore tomorrow morning, before you go up to the office? I'll have millions of things to say to you by then.
All right.
And then lunch and dinner tomorrow night.
Oh, Tony, what will people say?
It's gotta come out sometime. As a matter of fact, if you know a housetop, I'd like to do a little shouting. Hey everyone! I'm engaged!
Yes, sir, Mr. DePinna. We did a good night's work.
That's what? 500 Black Panthers, 300 willow trees, and 8 dozen kitty bombers.
Pretty good. Why, hello, Alice. You just come in?
No, I've been home quite a while.
You have a nice evening?
Oh, I had a beautiful evening, Father.
Say, I'd like you to take a look at this new red fire. Mr. DePinna, will you turn out the lights? I want her to get the full effect.
What, Father?
Take a look at this new red fire. It's beautiful. There, you see? Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, yes, Father. Everything is beautiful. That's the most beautiful red fire in the world.
Alright, I said to him. You can keep your job.
I'm ready to read you the new play, Miss Wellington. Anytime you are.
Just a minute, dearie. Just a minute.
The only thing is, and I hope you don't mind my mentioning this, but you don't drink when you're acting, do you, Miss Wellington? I'm only asking, of course.
I'm glad you mentioned it. Once the play opens, I never touch a drop. I enter those stage doors and the bottle gets put away until intermission.
Have you been on stage a long time, Miss Wellington?
All my life, I've played everything. Ever see Pickle My Heart?
Yes.
I saw it too. Good show, ain't it? Hot, isn't it?
Do you want me to open a window, Miss Wellington?
No, to hell with the weather.
Anytime you're ready, we'll head up to my room and start. I thought we should read the play up in my room.
All right, dearie. I'm ready. Look, when I sneak snakes, it's time to lay down.
Miss Wellington, those are real. They're Grandpa's. Oh dear, Miss Wellington.
She is out like a light.
Better let her sleep it off.
Do you think she'll be all right?
Oh, yes. Well, I wouldn't cast her in a religious play.
I suppose I'll have to wait.
The next time you see an actress on top of a bus, Penny, I'd send her the play instead of bringing her home to read it.
Oh, Ed, I wish you'd stop printing and take those love dreams out. You have to be back before Kolenkov comes.
Kolenkov's coming tonight?
Yes, tomorrow night is his night, but I had to change it because of Alice.
Oh, big doings around here tomorrow night, huh?
Isn't it exciting? I'm so nervous. Oh, you would think it was me he was engaged to instead of Alice.
I wonder what they'll be like. His mother and father. Can you please take out the candies now?
Look, Mr. DePinna, can you look outside and see if there's a man standing out there?
What for?
Well, the last 2 days, I've been out delivering candy. I think a man's been following me.
Ed, you're crazy.
I'm not crazy. He follows me, and he stands, and he watches the house.
Really? I'll take a look and see.
I don't see why anyone would be following you, Ed.
Well, there's lots of kidnapping going on, Grandpa.
Yes, but not Ed.
Well, did you see him?
There's nobody out there at all.
You're sure?
Positive. I just saw him walk away.
You see?
Well, it might have been anyone on the street. Will you just hurry up and get back?
Oh, all right.
Want to go down, Mr. Sycamore, and finish packing up the fireworks?
Yeah. We've got to take that stuff up to Mount Vernon in the morning.
Mother, may I borrow some paper? I'm making a list for Reba for tomorrow night.
Yes, dear. Here's some.
Why? What happened to your actress friend? Is she giving a performance?
No, dear, she's not acting. She's really drunk.
Essie, dear, you're going to give Reba the kitchen all day tomorrow, aren't you? Because she'll need it.
Oh, of course, Alice. I'll get some love dreams started right now.
Thanks, dear. Look, Mother, I'm coming home at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Will you have everything down in the cellar by then? The typewriter, the snakes, the printing press?
And Miss Wellington.
And Miss Wellington. That'll give me time to arrange the table and fix the flowers.
Kirby's are certainly going to get the wrong impression of this house.
You'll do all that, right, Mother?
Of course, dear.
And I think we'd better have cocktails ready by 7:15 in case they happen to come early. I wonder if I ought to let Reba cook the dinner. What do you think, Grandpa?
Now, Alice, I wouldn't worry. From what I've seen of the boy, I'm sure the Kirbys are very nice people. And if everything isn't so elaborate tomorrow, then that's all right too.
Darling, I'm not trying to impress them or pretend that we are anything we aren't, but I just want things to go off well.
No reason why it shouldn't, Alice.
We're all going to do everything we can to make sure that it's a nice party.
Oh, my darlings, I love you. You're the most wonderful family in the world, and I'm the happiest girl in the world. I didn't know anyone could be this happy. Why, this past week, it's been like floating. Oh, he's so wonderful, Grandpa. Just seeing him. Oh, you don't know what it does to me.
Just seeing him at lunch and at dinner, and until 4 o'clock in the morning, then again at 9 o'clock the next day at work. And there he is. Just seeing him, huh?
I don't care. I'm in love. Reba.
Nice, isn't it?
Reba, I think we should talk about tomorrow.
Nice to see her so happy.
Yes, I remember when I was engaged to Paul, how happy I was. And you know, I still feel that way.
I know. And nice how Ed and Essie are getting along so well, isn't it?
And Donald and Reba, even though they're not married. Do you suppose Mr. DePinna will ever get married?
Well, there's Miss Wellington.
Oh dear. I wish you would wake up. If we're gonna read the play tonight.
Mrs. Sycamore, look what I found. Remember?
Why, yes, of course! Oh, it's my painting of you! Oh, as the discus thrower! Like Grandpa!
Oh, I remember it. Say, you've gone a little bald, haven't you, Mr. DePinna?
Well, there's still some right here.
Well, it was a very long time ago. Just before I stopped painting. Let's see, that was about 8 years ago.
It's a shame you never finished it, Mrs. Sycamore.
I meant to finish it, but I just started to write a play one day, and that was that. I never painted again.
Just as well, too. I was going to have to strip next.
Who would have thought the day I came to deliver the ice, I would have stayed here for 8 years?
The milkman was here for 5 years, just ahead of you.
Why did he leave again? I forget.
Well, he didn't leave. He died.
Oh, yes.
He was such a nice man. Do you remember the funeral
We didn't know his name, so it was kind of hard to get a certificate.
What was the name we finally made up for him?
Martin Vanderhoff. We gave him your name.
Oh, yes. I remember.
It was a lovely thought, because otherwise he never would have gotten all those flowers.
It certainly was. And it didn't hurt me any. Haven't been bothered with any mail or received a telephone call from that day to this.
It was a lovely thought.
I wish you'd finish that sometime, Miss Sycamore. I'd love to have it.
You know what? I think I'll finish it right tonight.
Say, will you?
I don't think she's gonna wake up anytime soon. Now, Mr. DePinna, you go down to the cellar and put on your costume. Is it still down there?
I think so.
Now, where did I put my palette and brushes?
Robinska, my little Robinska.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kollenkopf?
Hello, Mr. Kollenkopf. Essie's in the kitchen.
Madam Sycamore, I greet you. Ah, Grandma, tell me, what should I do about Robinska? I keep telling her she would be a great toe dancer, but she only laughs.
No, sir, Mr. Kollenkopf. I couldn't get up on my toes. I've got corns.
Robinska, you could wear diamonds. A great girl, Grandpa.
I know. What do you think of that?
What is that?
Well, she's an actress. Friend of Penny's.
She's drunk, no?
She is drunk, yes. How are you, Kollenkopf?
Magnificent! Life is chasing around inside of me like a squirrel.
Tis, huh? What's new in Russia? Any more letters from your friend in Moscow?
As a matter of fact, I have. And I've saved for you the stamp.
Thanks, Kollenkopf.
They have sent him to Siberia.
They have, eh? How'd you like it?
He has escaped. He has escaped and he has gone back to Moscow. You will get him yet. If they do not get him first. The Soviet government. I could take the whole Soviet government and...
I'm so sorry I'm late, Mr. Kollenkopf.
Tonight, you will really work, Pavlova. Tonight, we try something new.
I'll go put on my dancing clothes.
Has she making any progress, Kollenkopf?
Confidentially, she stinks.
Well, as long as she's having fun.
Donald, what do you think of the Soviet government?
The what, Mr. Kollenkopf?
I withdraw the question. What do you think of this government?
Oh, I like it fine. I'm on relief, you know.
Oh, yes. And you like it?
Yes, sir, it's fine. The only thing is that you gotta go to the place each week to get it. And sometimes you gotta wait in a line for almost half an hour. Government gotta be run better than that, don't you think, Grandpa?
Government ought to stop sending me letters. They want me to meet at the U.S. Marshal's office 10 o'clock at Tuesday morning. What do you think of that?
Ah, income tax. They have got you, Grandpa.
I'm supposed to send a lot of money as to keep Donald on relief.
You don't say. You're gonna pay it, Grandpa?
That's what they want.
You mean that I can come get it right here instead of standing in that line?
No, Donald. I'm afraid you'll have to waste a full half hour of your time every week.
Well, I don't really like it. Breaks up my week.
He should have been in Russia when the revolution came. Then he would have stood in a line. A bread line. Oh, what they have done to Russia, Grandpa. The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina, cousin of the Tsar, working in a child's restaurant. I ordered the baked beans from her the other day. It broke my heart. A crazy world, Grandpa.
Oh, the world's not so crazy, Kollenkopf. It's just the people in it. Life's pretty simple when you just relax.
Oh, Grandpa, how can you relax in times like these?
Well, if people relaxed, there wouldn't be times like these. That's just my point. Life is kind of beautiful if you just let it sink in. People forget that. I know I did. I was right in the thick of it. Fighting, scratching, clawing, regular jungle. Then one day it just struck me. I wasn't having any fun.
So you did what?
Just relaxed. 35 years ago that was, and I've been a happy man ever since.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Kolenkoff.
Ah, Miss Alice, I've not seen you yet to present my congratulations.
Thank you.
May you be very happy and have many, many children. That is my prayer for you.
That's quite a thought.
Ah, love. Love is all that is left in the world, Grandpa.
Yes, but there's plenty of that.
But someday Stalin will take that away from us too, Grandpa. I tell you.
Seems so nice to get into my old art stuff again, Grandpa. They look all right, don't they?
Yes, indeed.
You are a breath of Paris, Madame Sycamore.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kolenkoff.
It happened again. This fellow, he followed me every place I went.
Oh, nonsense, Ed. It's your imagination.
No, it isn't. It happens every time I go out to deliver candy.
Maybe he wants a piece of candy.
It's all right for you to laugh, Grandpa, but he keeps following me.
You do not know what following is. In Russia, everyone is followed. I was followed right out of Russia.
Of course, Ed. You see, the whole thing is just your imagination.
Well, maybe.
I couldn't find the armor, but how about a toga?
That's all right. Here we are.
Id, for tonight's lesson, we use the first movement from Scheherazade.
Okay.
Mr. DePinna, has something happened to your figure in the last 8 years?
No, I don't think it's any different. Eh?
Yes, Miss Wellington? Yes?
Ooh.
Oh dear.
Sorry, Mr. Kolenkoff, I couldn't find my slippers.
Well, we have a hot night for tonight, my Pavlova. But good art is only made through perspiration.
Why, that's wonderful, Mr. Kolenkoff. Did you hear that, Grandpa? Art is only achieved through perspiration.
Yes, but it helps if you have a little talent with it.
You ready? We begin. All right, now pirouette, pirouette. Come on, we've been working on this for 8 years now. At last. Now, undershot, undershot. Grandpa, we cannot relax while Stalin is in Russia. The Tsar relaxed, and what happened to him?
He was too late.
Mr. Kolenkoff!
If he had not relaxed, then the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina
Mr.
would not be
Kolenkoff!
selling baked beans today.
Mr. Kolenkoff!
Oh, I'm sorry. We go back to the pirouette now.
Could you, pull in your stomach a little bit, Mr. DePinna? That's right.
You must be freer, freer with the hands. The whole body must work. Your body must be free. Ed, help us with the music. The music must be free too.
Mrs. Sycamore! Mrs. Sycamore!
What, Reba?
Good evening.
how do you do?
Are we too early?
We thought you were coming tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night? What?
But it's perfectly alright. Just go ahead and make yourselves at home.
Tony, how could you possibly? I don't know. I thought...
We're glad to see you.
Really, Tony? This is most embarrassing.
Don't mind my costume. I'll take it off.
Would you go tell Mr. Sycamore to come right up? Tell him Mr. and Mrs. Kirby are here.
All right, excuse me.
Oh, and be sure he puts his pants on. Alice dear, come downstairs. We've got a surprise for you.
Well, if you're perfectly sure that we're not...
Don't worry, Mrs. Kirby. They're perfectly harmless. Ed, take them to the kitchen.
Oh, we're just so used to him around the house.
Sorry to trouble you. Snakes just happen to be...
I feel very uncomfortable about this. Tony, how could you do this? I'm sorry, Dad. I thought it was tonight. That was very careless of me. Very.
Anyone can get mixed up, Mr. Kirby.
Penny, how about some dinner for these folks? They've come all this way for dinner, you know.
Oh, please don't bother. We're really not hungry at all.
Oh, but it's not a bit of bother. Oh, and do tell Donald to go run down to the store and get half a dozen bottles of beer and canned salmon. You do like canned salmon, don't you, Mr. Kirby?
Please don't trouble Mrs. Sycamore. I have a little indigestion anyways.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about you, Mrs. Kirby? Do you like canned salmon?
Oh, I'm very fond of it.
But you can have frankfurters if you'd rather.
Oh, either will do.
We'll have frankfurters and canned salmon then. Oh, and Campbell's soup. Got that, Ed?
Okay.
Oh, and tell him to hurry. The store's just around the corner, and frankfurters don't take much time to boil.
And this is Alice's father.
How do you do?
I hope you'll forgive my appearance.
This is Mr. Sycamore's busiest time of year. Right before the 4th of July, he always... Oh.
I'm the most dull-witted person in the world. I thought it was tonight.
Oh, Tony, I'm so sorry. Tony, I couldn't imagine why. How have you all met?
Yes, indeed.
How do you do, Alice?
How do you do, Mrs. Kirby? I'm afraid I don't look very presentable.
Darling, you look lovely. Of course she does. Don't worry, my dear. We've all just met each other a night sooner. That's all.
Of course.
But I was planning such a nice party for tomorrow night.
Well, we'll come again tomorrow night. There you are, Alice. Am I forgiven?
I guess so. We'd better see about getting you some dinner.
Oh, that's all done, Alice. It's all been attended to.
But Mother, what did you send out for? Mr. Kirby has indigestion. He can only eat certain things.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Of course it is, darling.
I asked him what he wanted, Alice.
Yes, but...
Now. It's not as serious as all that. Just because I have a little indigestion.
Perhaps it is not just indigestion, Mr. Kirby. Perhaps it is stomach ulcers.
Don't be absurd, Mr. Kolenkov.
You mustn't mind Mr. Kolenkov, Mr. Kirby. He's Russian. They're inclined to look on the darker side.
Yes, I am a Russian, but a friend of mine, a Russian, died of stomach ulcers.
Really,
Please, Mr. Kolenkov. Mr. Kirby has indigestion, and that is all.
All right, let him wait.
Well, do sit down, Mr. Kirby. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Tell me, Mr. Kirby, how do you find business conditions? Are we pretty well out of the depression?
What? Yes, I think so. Of course, it all depends.
But you figure that things will keep on improving.
Broadly speaking, yes. As a matter of fact, industry is operating at 64% of full capacity, as opposed to 82% in 1925. Of course, in 1929...
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are cold.
That may seem strange to you people, but I assure you she's not accountable for her actions.
I better go check on her. Excuse me, please.
She's a friend of Mrs. Sycamore's. She came to dinner and was overwhelmed by the heat.
It is awfully hot. You usually escape all this hot weather, don't you, Mrs. Kirby? Up in Maine?
As a rule, but I had to come down this week for the flower show.
Mother wouldn't miss that for the world. That blue ribbon is the high spot of her year.
I won a ribbon at the flower show once for raising onions. Remember, Alice?
That was a garden show, Essie.
Oh. I forgot.
I think she'll be all right.
Has Donald come back yet? No, he hasn't.
Well, he'll be right back. And it won't take any time at all. I'm sure you must be starved.
Quite all right. No, hello. What's this? I didn't know there were tiny children in the house.
Oh no, that's mine.
Really? Well, I suppose every man needs his hobby. Or do you use it as a model of some kind?
No, I just played with it.
I see. Maybe you'd be better off if you had a hobby like that, Dad, instead of raising orchids. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised.
Do tell us about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. You know, they take 6 years before they blossom. Think of that.
Oh, some of them take longer than that. I've got one right now that I've been waiting to come along for 12 years.
Believe it or not, I was waiting for an orchid.
Ah, yes. Of course, during that time, they require the most scrupulous care. I remember a bulb I was very fond of.
Mrs. Sycamore.
Donald!
Did you get everything, Donald?
Yes'm. Except for they didn't have any frankfurters, so I got pig's feet.
Never mind, Donald. Just bring everything to the kitchen. Mr. Kirby, please do tell them about your orchids. I know they'd love to hear it.
Kind of an expensive hobby, isn't it, Mr. Kirby?
Why, yes, it is. But I always say that if a hobby gives one sufficient pleasure, it's never expensive.
That's very true.
You see, I need something to relieve the daily nerve strain. After a week in Wall Street, I'd go crazy if I didn't have something like that. A lot of men I know have yachts for that very reason.
Why don't they give up Wall Street?
How's that?
I was just joking.
I think it's necessary for everyone to have a hobby, but to me it's more than just a hobby. My great solace is spiritualism.
Spiritualism, Mrs. Kirby? Oh, now everyone knows that's fake.
I don't think it matters what the hobby is. What's important is that you have one.
Remember, Penny, you've got one or two hobbies of your own.
Yes, but not silly ones.
To be ideal, a good hobby should improve the mind as well as the body. The Romans were a great people. Why? What was their hobby? Wrestling. In wrestling, you must think quick with the mind and act quick with the body.
Wrestling isn't practical for most of us, I'm afraid. I wouldn't make a good showing as a wrestler.
Oh, you could be a great wrestler. You are built for it. Look.
Anthony!
Mr. Kolenkov! No, please! Mr. Stop it! Mr. Grandpa, no! Oh, Mr. Kirby! Are you alright?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kirby, but next time you wrestle...
I do not intend on wrestling again, Mr. Kolenkov. Are you alright, Father?
Mr. Kolenkov, how could you do such a thing?
I think if you don't mind, we better leave.
Mother!
Mrs. Kirby, please don't go. Please, Mr. Kirby, I've ordered your plain eggs and salad. Please don't go.
Better sit down, Father.
I'm sorry if I had done something wrong, and I apologize.
Mr. Kirby, I can't tell you how sorry I am.
It's quite alright, Alice. Of course it is. It's alright, Alice. We're not going.
Oh, that was exciting for a moment, wasn't it?
You were talking about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. Do you raise many varieties?
I'm afraid I've quite forgotten about my orchids.
I'm awfully sorry, Mr. Kirby.
What did I do that was so terrible? I threw him on the floor. Did I kill him?
I'm sure dinner won't be any time at all now.
Miss Alice. Miss Alice.
Excuse me.
What is it, Reba? Pigs fell down the sink.
Quick, make some more.
I ain't got any.
Tell Donald to go out and get some.
All right.
Tell him to hurry. I'm so sorry. There will be a little delay, but everything will be ready soon.
I've certainly put you people through a lot of trouble with my stupidity.
Not at all, Tony.
Look, why don't we play a game of some sort while we wait?
Oh, that'd be fine.
Mother, I don't think Mr. and Mrs. Kirby...
I have an idea. I know a wonderful trick with a glass of water and...
No, Mr. Kolenkoff.
Mr. Kolenkoff.
But I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Kirby will love this game. It's perfectly harmless.
Please, Mother.
I'm not very good at games, Mrs. Sycamore. Come on, Father. Be a sport.
Oh, but any fool can play this game, Mr. Kirby. All you have to do is write your name on a piece of paper.
But Mother, Mr. Kirby doesn't want...
Oh, he'll love it. Oh, here you are, Mr. Kirby. Write your name on this piece of paper, and Mrs. Kirby, you do the same on this one.
I shall be happy to play.
Well...
Oh, I used to play it all the time at school. It's called Forget-Me-Not. Here you are, Grandpa. Now, I'm gonna say 5 words, just anything at all. And you're gonna put down the first thing that you can think of. Is that clear? For instance, if I say grass, you might put down green. Just whatever you can think of. See? Oh, if I say chair, you might put down table. It shows the reactions people have to different things. You see how simple it is, Mr. Kirby?
I understand.
You see, Alice, he does want to play.
Ready?
Now, remember, you must play fair, so put down the first thing that comes to your mind. Everybody ready? Okay, the first word is potatoes. Potatoes. All right, ready for the second one? Bathroom.
Mother.
Bathroom. Everybody got that?
Go ahead.
The next one? Lust.
Mother, this is not exactly what you...
Nonsense, Alice. That word's all right.
Mother, it's not all right.
Oh, I don't know. It seems like a perfectly fair word.
You see, now you mustn't interrupt the game.
Can I get the last word again, please?
Lust, Mr. Kirby.
This is quite the game, isn't it?
Shh, Grandpa. All right. The next word is honeymoon. Oh, now, Essie. All right. The last word is sex.
Mother.
Everybody got sex? All right. Now I'll go ahead and collect your papers.
What happens now?
Oh, this is the best part. Now I read out your reactions.
I see. It's really quite an interesting game.
I knew you'd like it. I'll read your paper first, Mr. Kirby. This is Mr. Kirby's. Potatoes, steak. Oh, that's very good. Oh, see how they go together, steak and potatoes?
I just happened to think of it.
That's very good. All right. Bathroom, toothpaste. Well, lust, unlawful. Isn't that nice? Honeymoon, trip, yes. Sex, male. Oh, yes, you are. That's a really wonderful paper, Mr. Kirby.
Thank you. It's more than just a game, you know. It's really more of an experiment in psychology, isn't it?
Yes, it shows just how your mind works. Oh, and now we'll see how Mrs. Kirby's mind works. All right, everyone, this is Mrs. Kirby's. Potatoes, Starch! Oh, I know just what you mean, Mrs. Kirby. Oh dear. Bathroom, Mr. Kirby.
What's that?
Bathroom, Mr. Kirby.
I don't quite follow that, my dear.
I don't know, Anthony. I just thought of you in connection with it. You are in there a great deal, bathing and shaving, and you just take quite a long time.
Indeed. I didn't realize I was being selfish in the matter. Go on, Mrs. Sycamore.
I think this is a very silly game and we ought to stop it.
Yes.
No. Go on, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, yes, where was I? Lust? Human.
Human? Miriam, really?
Well, what I meant, Anthony, is that lust, after all, is a human emotion.
I do not agree with you, Miriam. Lust is not a human emotion. It is depraved.
Really? It's the most pointless game. We should play 20 questions.
Yes.
No. I find this game rather interesting. Go on, Mrs. Sycamore. What was the next word?
Honeymoon.
Oh, yes. And what was Mrs. Kirby's answer?
Honeymoon. Dull.
Did you say dull?
Well, what I meant, Anthony, is that the hot springs weren't very gay that season. All the old people sitting on the deck all afternoon and nothing to do at night.
That wasn't your reaction at the time, as I seem to recall.
Father, it's only a game.
A very illuminating game. Go on, Mrs. Sycamore.
This one's all right, Mr. Kirby. Sex, Wall Street.
Wall Street? What do you mean by that, Miriam?
I don't know what I meant, Anthony. Nothing.
Well, it must have meant something, or you wouldn't have written it down.
It was just the first thing that came to my head.
But what does it mean? Sex, Wall Street.
Oh, I don't know, Anthony. You're just always talking about Wall Street, even when... I don't know what I meant. Alice, would you mind terribly if we didn't stay for dinner? This game has given me an awful headache.
I understand, Mrs. Kirby.
But you're coming tomorrow night, aren't you?
I'm afraid we have an engagement tomorrow night.
Maybe we'd better postpone the whole affair. The hot weather and all. I think we're being very ungracious, Father. Of course we'll stay to dinner. Tonight.
I really have a terrible headache, Tony.
Come, Tony. I'm sure everyone understands.
Well, I don't. I think we ought to stay.
No, Tony.
What?
We were fools to ever think it would work. Mr. Kirby, I won't be at the office tomorrow. I won't be at the office anymore.
Alice, what are you talking about? I'm sorry, dear. Very sorry. Are you ready, Miriam?
Yes, Anthony.
Darling, you mustn't mind this. It was very nice to have met you all.
Yes, lovely.
Are you coming, Tony? No, Father, I'm not. I see. Your mother and I will be waiting for you at home. Good night.
Good night. Stay right where you are, everybody. Don't move.
How dare you!
Why? What does this mean?
Oh, good heavens!
What is all this?
I demand an explanation!
Which one is it? That's him.
Ed!
Why, what do you mean?
Grandpa, what is it?
This is an outrage!
Shut up! What's your name?
Edward Carmichael, but I haven't done anything.
You haven't, huh?
This seems rather high-handed to me. What's it all about?
Department of Justice.
Ed, what have you done?
I haven't done anything.
What is it? What is it all about?
What's the boy done, officer?
This door leads to the cellar?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Come here, you. Ever see these before?
They're my circulars.
You print this stuff, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
You put these in boxes of candy to put them in people's homes.
I love dreams.
But I didn't mean anything by it.
Oh, you didn't, huh? Dynamite the Capitol? Dynamite the White House? Dynamite the Supreme Court? God is the state is God?
But I don't mean that. I just like to print. Don't I, Grandpa?
Officer, the government's in no danger from Ed. Printing is his hobby. He prints anything.
He does, eh?
Ed, where do you think you're going? What's happening? I've never heard of such nonsense.
I refuse to stay here, Anne.
Get my pipe!
Shut up, you! You're right, Chief. They got enough gunpowder down there to blow up the
Ah!
whole city. Now, but we only use that.
Keep still.
Everyone in this house is under arrest.
What's that?
Oh, look here, officer. This is all nonsense.
My pipe! You gotta let me get my pipe! Shut up, all of you!
It seems to me, officer. But shut up!
My pipe!
The fireworks!
The fireworks!
The fireworks! The fireworks!
It's all right, Mother.
Miriam, are you all
I
right?
gotta go down there! No, let me go! Let me go! I gotta get down there! My manuscripts! I've got to save my manuscripts! Donald! Reba, it's alright! It's alright! Paul, what
Come
did
on.
you do?
My printing press! How will I get my printing press out?
Grandpa! Line everybody up! Line them up! Line up, all of you!
Well.
In olden days, a glimpse of stalking was looked shocking, but now God knows anything goes. And Octabata once knew better words. Four-letter words writing. Anything goes.
For appearance in the West Side Court this morning. After spending the night in jail, the defendants, 13 in all, were brought before Judge Callahan, then given suspended sentences for manufacturing fireworks without a permit.
They kept me in the same cell as a stripteaser from a burlesque show.
I was in the cell with Mr. Kirby. My, was he mad.
Mrs. Kirby and the stripteaser, they were fighting all night.
Whole lot about Mr. Kirby here. Anthony W. Kirby, head of Kirby & Co., 62 Wall Street, who was among those apprehended, declared he was in no way interested in the manufacturing of fireworks, but refused to state why he was on the premises at the time of the raid. Mr. Kirby is a member of the Union Club, the Racket Club, the Harvard Club, and the National Geographic Society. My, he certainly is a joiner.
All those rich men are elks or something.
I suppose after all this, Mr. Tony ain't going to be marrying Miss Alice, huh?
No, sir. And it's too bad, too. Miss Alice sure does love that boy.
Ever notice how those folks are always getting themselves into trouble?
Sure do.
Me too.
I don't know what I'm going to do with all that food out in the kitchen. Ain't going to be no party tonight, that's sure.
Aren't we going to eat it anyhow?
Well, I'm cooking it, but I don't know if anyone's going to have an appetite.
I'm hungry.
Well, if they ain't, they're also broken up about Miss Alice.
Where's she want to go anyways?
I don't know. The mountains someplace, but she's going all right, no matter what they say. I know Miss Alice when she's got that looking in her eye.
Too bad, ain't it?
Sure is.
Not even a balloon left.
How's your eye, Mr. DePinner? Better?
Better. Is there any more olive oil in there?
It's in the salad bowl.
Thanks.
She's going. Nothing anyone said could change her.
She ain't gonna stay away too long, is she, Mrs. Sycamore?
I don't know, Reba. She won't say.
My, it'll be awful lonesome without her.
How you feel, Mrs. Sycamore?
I'm all right, Donald. Just a little upset. Perhaps if I do some work, maybe I'll feel a bit better.
Well, I won't bother you anymore, Mrs. Sycamore.
She's going, Patty.
Yes.
Now, Patty.
I can't help it, Paul. Somehow I feel it's all our fault.
It's mine more than yours, Penny. All these years, I've just been going along enjoying myself. And maybe I should have been thinking more about Alice.
Don't say that. You've been such a wonderful father and a husband too.
No, I haven't. Maybe if I'd been an architect, I don't know, something that Alice could be proud of. I felt that last night looking at Mr. Kirby.
Don't say that. We've been so happy, Paul.
I know, but maybe that's not enough. I used to think it was, but I'm kind of all mixed up now.
What time is she going?
Pretty soon. Her train leaves at 7:30.
Oh, if only she'd see Tony. Maybe he could persuade her.
But she won't, Penny. He's been trying all day.
Where is he now?
I don't know. I suppose he's walking around the block again. Anyhow, she won't talk to him.
Maybe he could catch her if she leaves.
It won't help, Penny.
I suppose not. I feel so sorry for Tony, too. Well, Grandpa?
Now, Penny, let the girl alone.
But Grandpa...
Suppose she goes to the Adirondacks. She'll come back. You can only take so much Adirondacks before you come home.
But it's also terrible, Grandpa.
In a way. But there's also a bright side.
How do you mean?
Well, Mr. Kirby getting into the patrol wagon, for one thing. And the expression on his face when he and Donald got to take a bath together. I'll never forget that if I live to be 100. And I warn you people, I intend to, if I can have things like that.
Oh, and it was even worse with Mrs. Kirby. Oh, when the matron stripped her, there was a burlesque dancer and she was singing a song while Mrs. Kirby undressed.
I'll bet you Bay Harbor will seem pretty dull to the Kirbys this summer. Need any help, Alice?
No thanks, Grandpa. I'm just going to press these.
Alice, dear!
Now, Penny.
Thank you.
Really, Alice? You could be just as alone here as you can in the mountains. You can stay in your room the whole time.
No, Mother. I want to be by myself, away from everybody. I love you, you know that, but I just need to be alone for a while. I'll be all right. Father, did you phone for the cab?
I didn't know you wanted one.
Oh, I told Mr. DePinna to tell you. Didn't he tell you, Paul?
Oh, he told me, but I forgot.
Why can't we be like other people? Roast beef and 2 green vegetables, doilies on tables, a place you could bring your friends to without... Ugh!
I'll go see if I can do anything.
Tony, talk to her. She's in the kitchen.
Thanks. Alice, won't you listen to me, please?
Tony, it's no use.
Alice, you're not being fair. At least let me talk to you.
Where'd they go?
Upstairs.
She walked out the minute he came in.
Knocked the olive oil right out of my hand. I'm gonna smell kind of fishy.
Everything burnt up, huh? Downstairs?
My Roman costume, too.
Mm-hmm. I told you there was a bright side to everything. All except my 23 years back income tax. I get a letter every day.
Say, what are you gonna do about that, Grandpa?
Well, I kinda had an idea yesterday. It might not work, but I'll try it anyway.
Good evening, everybody.
Why, Mr. Kolenkoff.
Hello, Kolenkov.
Forgive me, the door was open.
Come on in.
Will you excuse my coming today? I've realized you are upset.
That's all right, Mr. Kolenkoff.
I don't think I can do a lesson today, Mr. Kolenkoff. I'm just not up to it.
Well, I
Oh, but do stay to dinner, Mr. Kolenkov. We have all that food and somebody's got to eat it.
I would be happy to, Madam Sycamore.
Fine.
Now I wonder if I know you well enough to ask a great favor.
Why, of course, Mr. Kolenkov. What is it?
You have heard me talk about my friend, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina.
Yes?
She's a great woman, the Grand Duchess. Her cousin was the Tsar of Russia. Today, she works in a child's restaurant in Times Square.
Yes, I know. If there's anything we can do, Mr. Kolenkov.
I tell you, the Grand Duchess has not had a good meal since before the Revolution.
She must be hungry.
Today happens to be the Grand Duchess's day off, Thursday, and it's also the anniversary of Peter the Great, a great man.
Mr. Kolenkov, if you mean you'd like the Grand Duchess to come to dinner, why, we'd be honored.
Oh, yes!
Well, in the name of the Grand Duchess, I thank you.
I could hardly wait to meet her. Where is she now?
She is outside in the street, waiting. I bring her in.
Ed, straighten your tie.
Oh, Essie, your dress! How do I look?
This keeps up, I'll live to be 150.
The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina. Your Highness, Madame Sycamore, Madame Carmichael, and Grandpa.
Madam?
Mr. Sycamore, Mr. Carmichael, and Mr. DePena.
All right now, Mr. DePena.
I am most happy to be here. How soon is dinner?
It'll be soon, Your Highness. Very soon indeed.
I do not mean to be rude, but I need to be back at the restaurant by 8 o'clock. I am substituting for another waitress.
I will be sure you make it there on time, Your Highness.
Thank you, Colonel.
You know, Highness, I think you waited on me at Child's place once. The 72nd Street place?
No, that was my sister.
The Grand Duchess Natasha.
I work in Times Square.
Oh.
Quite a lot of your folks living around here now, huh?
Yes, many. My uncle, the Grand Duke Sergei, is an elevator man at Macy's. A very nice man. My cousin Prince Alexei, he will not speak to the rest of us because he works at Carnegie. He works in ladies' underwear.
When he was selling hot dogs at Coney Island, he was willing to talk to you, though.
Ah, Kolenkov, our time is coming. My sister Natasha is studying to be a manicurist. She could help you. My uncle Sergei, they have promised to make a floor walker. I am transferring next month to the 5th Avenue Challenge. Then we'll see what Prince Alexei says.
I think you've got him.
And you're telling me.
Your Highness, did you know the Tsar? Personally, I mean.
Of course. He was my cousin. It was terrible what happened to him. But maybe it was for the best. I mean, where could he have gotten a job now?
Pravda. That is true.
Poor relations are poor relations. Every family is the same. My cousin, the King of Sweden, he was nice to us for about 10 years. Every once in a while, he would send us money orders. And then he said, I just cannot go on. I am not doing so well myself. I do not blame him.
No, of course not.
Now, tell me, Grand Duchess, is it true what they say about Rasputin?
Everyone wants to know about Rasputin. Yes, it's true. And how?
You don't say.
Your Highness, we have to watch the time.
Yes, I cannot be late. The manager already doesn't like me. He is a communist.
We'll hurry things up. Essie!
And I will help too. I am a very good cook.
Oh, but Your Highness, not on your day off.
I do not mind. Where is your kitchen?
Right through there, but you're the guest of honor, Your Highness.
But I love to cook. Come, Kolenkov. If they have sour cream and pot cheese, I will make you some blintzes.
Ah, blintzes.
Say, the Duchess is all right, isn't she? Hey, Duchess, can I help?
Really? She's a very nice woman for being a Grand Duchess.
Wonderful what some people go through. And still keep kind of gay, too.
She made me forget about everything for a bit.
I'd better call that cab.
No, wait, don't! Oh, here they are! Maybe Tony has Ed. Will you go up and bring down my big bag?
Don't you do it, Ed!
Ed, please!
Fine, Ed. Bring it down. You know, you've got the stubbornest daughter in all 48 states.
That must be the cab.
If it is, it's certainly wonderful service.
Is Tony here, Alice?
Yes, he is. Come right in, Mr. Kirby. Good evening.
Forgive my intruding. Tony, I want you to come home with me. Your mother is very upset.
Very well, Father.
Goodbye, Alice.
Goodbye, Tony.
I need hardly say that this is as painful for Mrs. Kirby and I as it is to you people. I'm sorry. I'm sure you understand.
Yes. And in a way, no. You see, I'm not the type of person who tries to run other people's lives, Mr. Kirby. But the fact is, I don't think these two young people have as much sense as you and I have.
Grandpa, can you please not do this?
I'm just talking to Mr. Kirby. A cat can look at a king, can't he?
Will you send a cab to 761 Claremont right away, please? Thank you.
Are you ready, Tony?
Mr. Kirby, I suppose after last night, you think this family is a little crazy.
I wouldn't say that, although I am not accustomed to going out to dinner and spending the night in jail.
Well, you've got to remember, you came on the wrong night. Now, tonight, I'll bet you nothing will happen at all. Maybe.
It was not merely last night that convinced Mrs. Kirby and I that this marriage would be unwise. I can handle my own affairs, Father. Alice, for the last time, will you marry me?
No, Tony. I know exactly what your father means, and he's right.
No, he's not, Alice.
Alice, you're in love with this boy, and you're not marrying him because we're the type of people we are.
Grandpa?
I know you think these two families wouldn't get along. Maybe they wouldn't, but who says they're right and we're wrong?
I didn't say that, Grandpa. I only feel...
Well, what I feel is that Tony's too nice a boy to wake up 25 years from now with nothing in his life but stocks and bonds.
How's that?
Mixed up and unhappy. The way you are.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Vanderhoff. I am a very happy man.
Are you?
Certainly I am.
I don't think so. Where do you think you get your indigestion from? Happiness? No, sir. You get it from spending most of your time doing the things you don't want to do.
I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Yes, you do. Just last night you said after a week in Wall Street, you're pretty near crazy. Why do you keep on doing it?
Why do I keep on? Why, that's my business. A man can't just give up his business.
Why not? You got all the money you need. You can't take it with you.
That's a very easy thing to say, Mr. Vanderhoff, but I have spent my entire life building up my business.
And what's it got you? Same kind of mail every morning, same kind of meal, same kind of meetings, same dinner every night, same indigestion. Where does the fun come in? Don't you think there ought to be something more, Mr. Kirby? You must have wanted more than that when you started. We haven't got much time, you know, any of us.
What do you expect me to do? Live the way you do? Do nothing?
Well, I have a lot of fun. I have enough time for everything. Read, talk, visit the zoo now and then, practicing my darts. I even have enough time to notice when spring comes around. Don't have to see anybody I don't want. Don't have 6 hours of things I have to do every day for an hour of things I like. And I haven't taken a bicarbonate of soda in 35 years. What's the matter with that?
The matter with that? Suppose we all did it. What a wonderful world we'd have, everyone going to zoos. Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Vanderhoff. Who would do all the work?
There are always people that like to do the work. You can't stop them. Inventions, they fly the ocean. There's always someone who will go down to Wall Street because they like it. But from what I've seen of you, I don't think you're one of them. Think you're missing something.
I'm not aware of missing anything.
I wasn't either. Till I quit. Used to go down to that office 9 o'clock sharp, no matter how I felt. Lay awake at night for fearing I'd never get that contract. I used to worry about the world too. Got all worked up whether Cleveland or Blaine was going to be elected president. Seemed awful important back then. But who cares now? What I'm trying to say, Mr. Kirby, is that I've had 35 years of my life that no one can take away from me, no matter what they do for the world. See?
I do see. And it's a very dangerous philosophy, Mr. Vanderhoff. It's un-American, and it's exactly why I'm opposed to this marriage. I don't want Tony to come under its influence.
What's the matter with it, Father? Matter with it? Why, it's downright communism. That's what it is.
You didn't always think so.
I most certainly did. What are you talking about?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You didn't always think so, because you wanted to be a trapeze artist.
Why, don't be an idiot, Tony.
Oh, yes, you did. I came across those letters you wrote to Grandfather. Remember those?
No. How dare you read those letters? How dare you?
Why, that is wonderful! Did you wear tights, Mr. Kirby?
Certainly not! The whole thing is absurd. I was 14 years old at the time.
Yeah. But at 18, you wanted to be a saxophone player, didn't you?
Tony!
And at 21, you ran away from home because Grandfather wanted you to go into the business. It's all there in black and white. You didn't always think so.
Well.
I may have had silly notions in my youth, but thank God that my father knocked them out of me. I forgot all about them when I went into business. Not altogether, Father. There's still a saxophone in the back of your closet.
There is?
That's enough, Tony. We'll discuss this later. No! I want to talk about it now. I think Mr. Vanderhoff is right. Dead right. I'm never going back to that office. I've always hated it, and I'm not going on with it. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't make a mistake last night. I knew it was the wrong night. I brought you here on purpose.
Tony! Well, for heaven's...
Because I wanted to wake you up. I wanted you to see a real family. How they really were. A family that loved and understood each other. You've never understood me. You've never had time. Well, I'm not going to make your mistake. I'm clearing out.
Clearing out? What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not going to be pushed into the business just because I'm your son. I'm getting out while there's still time.
But Tony, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Maybe I'll be a bricklayer. But I'll be doing something I want to do.
That must be the cab.
Ask him to wait a minute, Ed.
Grandpa!
Do you mind, Alice? Now, Mr. Kirby, Tony is going through the same things you and I did when we were his age. I bet if you listen hard enough, you can hear yourself saying the same things to your father 25 years ago. We all did it. And we were right. How many of us would be willing to settle when we were young for what we eventually get? All those plans we made, what happens to them? It's only a handful of the lucky ones that can look back and say they even came close. So, before they clean out that closet, Mr. Kirby, I'd get in a few good hours on that saxophone.
I beg your pardon. Before I make the princess, how many will there be for dinner?
Your Highness, may I introduce Mr. Anthony Kirby and Mr. Kirby Jr. This is Grand Duchess Olga Katrina.
How's that?
How do you do? But before I make the blintzes, how many will there be tonight?
Oh, I'd make quite a stack, Your Highness. Can't ever tell.
Good. The Tsar always told me, Olga, do not be stingy with the blintzes.
Who did you say that was, Mr. Vanderhoff?
Grand Duchess Olga Katrina. She's making the dinner.
Oh.
Speaking of dinner, Mr. Kirby, why don't you and Tony both stay?
Oh, please do, Mr. Kirby. We have all that stuff we were going to have last night. I mean tonight.
How about it, Father? Are we staying for dinner?
Looks like a pretty good dinner, Mr. Kirby. And it'll give us a chance to get acquainted. Why not stay?
Why? If you'd like to, Tony. I'd like that very much.
Now, if Alice will send away that cab, Mr. Vanderhoff.
How about it, Alice? Looks like a pretty good crowd. Don't you think you ought to stay for dinner?
I'm staying, Alice. The family should get to know each other. Don't you think?
Tony, oh, Tony.
Darling.
Grandpa, you're wonderful.
I've been telling you that for years.
Oh! There's a letter for you, Grandpa. It's on the piano.
Let me see. The government again.
How do you do?
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Kirby?
Why don't you step into my office, Miss Sycamore? I'd like to do a little dictating.
Outside the cab.
Well, well, well.
What is it, Grandpa?
The United States government apologizes. I don't owe them a nickel. Seems I died 8 years ago.
What do you mean, Grandpa?
I just told them they made a mistake, that I was Martin Vanderhoff Jr. So they're very sorry. I might even get a refund.
Why, Grandpa, you're an old crook.
Sure.
Pardon me. How did you say you escaped income tax, Mr. Vanderhoff?
Tonight, my friends, you are going to eat.
Hello there.
How do you do?
Fine, fine. Glad to see you.
What has happened?
He's relaxing. That's right.
You will like Russian food, Mr. Kirby.
Everything will be ready in a minute. Please sit down.
Come on, everybody. Dinner's ready.
Oh, come on, Mr. Kirby.
Yes, I'm coming.
You know, in Russia, when they sit down to dinner.
Well, Miss Sycamore, how was your trip to the Adirondacks?
Oh, shut your face, Mr. Kirby.
But you must be careful of your indigestion.
Nonsense! I haven't any indigestion.
Quiet, everybody, quiet. Well, sir, here we are again. We'd just like to say thank you for everything you've done for us. It seems things are going along just fine. Alice is going to marry Tony, and I think they're going to be very happy. The fireworks blew up, of course, but that was Mr. DePinna's fault, not yours. We've all got our health, and as far as anyone else is concerned, we'll leave it to you. Thank you.
I'm gonna dance for you later, Mr. Kirby. I got a new mazurka.
And I've read some special music.
Grandpa, I have heard from my friend in Siberia. He has escaped again.
Mr. Kirby, do you like roast goose? We have roast goose for dinner.
Like it? Why, it's my favorite.
Mr. DePinna, we gotta start thinking about next year's fireworks.
Tell me, Mr. Kirby, what do you think of the Securities Commission?
Well, here goes the Adirondacks.
And a very good thing, too.
Bye.